Today I'll be reacting to some of the craziest takes regarding Justin Fields from the media talking heads in the last week and a half or so. What's going on, guys? I'm back with another Chicago Bears reaction video, which I actually don't do that often. I've actually never done a reaction video before on this channel, but first time for everything, I guess. Okay, a lot of you guys have been asking me to react to and give my thoughts on, stuff that Colin Cowherd, other talking heads on big, media TV have been discussing about our Chicago Bears, right? Because there's been a lot of discussion regarding QB Justin Fields and potentially trading him from these guys, even though there's no chance, in my opinion, that actually happens. But a lot of Americans watch these people on TV. So people at work, people at school that you guys know, they probably watch these guys on TV and bring up their points, which is why we have to listen to them, even if we don't actually listen to their shows. Okay, we listen to the people listening to their shows, which is kind of annoying sometimes, but it's whatever. I mean, I don't watch these shows myself personally, but maybe when I'm at the gym or something, on my treadmill or like while lifting weights, I'll put on ESPN. So in the background, it kind of plays, but I don't actually go out of my way to watch these shows myself because I feel like the analysis is very surface level a lot of the time. But regardless, I'll be reacting to some of the major shows in the last week, talking about Justin Fields and potentially trading him and selecting Bryce Young, and I'll be giving my thoughts and my reaction to all that. I've actually not seen any of these videos beforehand. I've seen like bits and pieces on Twitter, maybe like clips or quotes on Twitter, but I haven't actually seen these whole videos. But let's get into it. All right, first up, Colin Cowherd. Let's see what this guy has to say about Justin Fields.
Bad. Well, the offensive line. No, it's actually rated 14th in the NFL. Burrows is rated significantly worse.
Pause. Okay, dude said the offensive line is rated 14th in the NFL. According to who, Colin? Who rates the Bears offensive line 14th in the NFL? Okay, nobody that's actually watched any Bears games from last year, which clearly you have not. Okay, I think that the only metric that ranks the Bears offensive line pretty highly is ESPN's pass block win rate, but that's such a flawed stat. Justin Fields buying the offensive line time sometimes counts as them getting a pass block win, when in reality, that's not the case. Okay, they're not doing well in terms of pass blocking. So I have no idea what Colin Cowherd is trying to say here when ranking the Bears offensive line 14th in the NFL. That's very stupid.
This year. In 2 years, he completes 59%, has a passer rating under 80, 24 TDs, and
numbers aren't good. They haven't been good the last 2 years, but
Justin Herbert started first game as a pro. He told he was starting 5 minutes before the game. His offensive line that year was ranked dead last in the league, and his coach was uncreative and got fired.
According to who, Colin? Like, who was... Yeah, I agree. The Chargers offensive line was ranked dead last in the NFL, but so was the Bears offensive line this year in terms of pass blocking and true sets, according to many metrics out there, and if you watch the film at all. So, like, I don't get what this guy's trying to say by saying the Chargers offensive line back then was bad, but the Bears offensive line this year was not bad. Like, what games are you watching, man?
He put up huge numbers. His
offensive line. He did, and that's impressive. Like, I'm not trying to take anything away from Justin Herbert. Like, Justin Herbert actually did perform really well with a bad offensive line, but that is so extremely rare. And he also had weapons to throw to. Like, he had Keenan Allen. He had, did he have Mike Williams back then? Yeah, I think he did, right, during his rookie year. So he actually had guys to throw to back then, which Fields obviously does not this year. He only had Mooney and Claypool for like, what, 4 or 5 games? So, again, another stupid argument in my opinion.
Is significantly worse as a rookie than the Bears this year. Andrew Luck's first 2 years, 11-5, 11-5. His own line was much worse. Joe Burrow's
they're all bad. The Bears offensive line also is bad, just like Andrew Luck's offensive line was bad.
And he got to a Super Bowl. You can't use the O-line anymore.
Yeah, you can.
Great, but it's not Herbert rookie year bad. It's not Cincinnati last 3 years bad. It's not close to end.
He's just straight up lying, man. Like, he's making it seem like the Bears offensive line is actually good when it's clearly not. So I don't know what else to say about that. Like, he's just straight up not telling the truth here.
Andrew Luck bad. And those guys won a lot. I mean, a lot. And many of their coaches. Andrew Luck's got fired. Justin Herbert's got fired. It's not like, well, the weapons. Oh, the weapons. Bears have good backs and an excellent young tight end. They could use another receiver.
Yeah, you think so? We could use another receiver? We need another number 1 receiver, which the guys you mentioned, they had number one receivers. Burrow had a number one receiver and a solid number two and number three. Justin Herbert had a solid number one and number two receiver. Justin Fields does not. He's never had a true number one receiver ever in his NFL career. Like, does that not matter to you at all? Like, what are we doing here?
But again, his protection is better than anybody wants to acknowledge.
No, it's not.
And whereas with Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts, I saw tremendous, staggering growth year one to year two, I didn't with Fields.
See, he's only going to look at the numbers and say that there was no growth at all, which I can understand. You know, if you're not watching every Bears game, even if you are, like, there were some games in which Fields definitely did not look like a good football player, okay? He definitely did not look like a good quarterback. But if you look at the entirety of the season compared to his rookie year, he definitely grew in many areas, okay? Yes, in passing the football as well, okay? His base passing numbers, if you just look at those, passing touchdowns, interceptions, the touchdowns per interception ratio is much higher, obviously, this year. And in terms of, being more efficient with the football while passing, that was also achieved this year, okay? A higher completion percentage, even though he arguably had worse weapons this year than he had in his rookie year, okay? And if you look at what he did on the ground, he almost broke the all-time record for rushing yards by a quarterback. Does that not mean anything to you? Like, I know he is a quarterback, so he's expected to throw the football. But, guys, he was dynamic, explosive, otherworldly on the ground. And we're just totally glossing over that, which I feel like is not something we should be doing, okay? He definitely grew in year two, even if it wasn't as much as we'd like to see him grow as a passer. But I digress.
He's more YouTube star. Sensational plays, but the
YouTube
little
star,
stuff,
okay.
footwork, accuracy, I think you have to consider it.
Yes, he has to improve in those areas, but he's not a finished product, Con. Like, he's in year two with such a bad supporting cast around him. I mean, there's few quarterbacks that look really good in years one and two, especially with the bad supporting cast. And Fields, he didn't look like a superstar in years one or two, at least as a passer, but there's a lot to grow on here that you got to allow him the time to do that.
There's 4 reasons. One more season of average to bad, and you'll get nothing for him. Secondly, the Bears have a defensive coach and a defensive culture, and they didn't draft him. He's not their
culture?
guy. Third, Chicago probably won't have the number one pick for a while.
Pick for Chase
I don't
Claypool.
think they'll be good, but you're not going to be in this territory again. Use the opportunity. And 4, you had Khalil Mack and Roquan Smith, and you couldn't win games. You think Will Anderson is going to come in and turn the franchise around?
Yes, he will. We need defensive talent, dude. Like, I mean, last year, again, if Khan watched any of these games, he would know that there was a 3-game stretch last year where Justin Fields in the offense, they put up 30 plus or 29 plus for 3 straight games, but the Bears lost all of those games because that's how bad our defense was. Okay, we had the 32nd ranked defense in the NFL last year. Obviously, we need to improve and get a better pass rusher like a Will Anderson. Okay, that would help us out tremendously. Now, yes, defense is not going to solve our entire problems by itself. Okay, and that's the thing. Like, back in the past, we never had a capable quarterback or like a capable offense consistently. And yes, we have to grow there, but you need both sides of the football, Colin. Like, you can't just only have offense. You need both offense and defense.
In an offensive pivoting league where it's hard to go on a 10-game losing streak.
It's not hard when you're intentionally tanking like the Bears were.
And the Vikings and Lion defenses were atrocious. They lost 10 straight games. I think you have to consider calling Atlanta and saying, we'll give you Justin Fields, give us your 8th pick.
Yeah, they passed him earlier. They're going to want him now.
And then go get
2 years afterwards
the second or third best edge rusher. I like Justin Fields, but I've never ever thought he was Trevor Lawrence. I don't think he's close to Caleb Williams or Drake May. I don't think he's an Andrew Luck. I don't think he's a guy that can succeed if the circumstances are great. He's more Trey Lance. He'll work if he gets the right stuff. And I don't know if
Trey Lance, the dude that barely passed the football at all in college. Justin Fields, one of the most accurate passers of all time in college football. You're comparing the two somehow because Why exactly? I mean, Trey Lance has barely played so far in the NFL. What the heck are we doing here?
Chicago will have the right stuff. But all you have to do is go to PFF and look at O-lines. His is middle of the pack. Some of those young guys they drafted ended up being pretty.
PFF does not grade the Bears offensive line highly in terms of pass blocking. Run blocking, yeah, but definitely not pass blocking.
Good. They spent a lot of draft capital on the O-line, and a lot of those guys were starting and pretty good.
Pause. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I keep on pausing the video like every 30 seconds, but I have to with all the stuff he's saying, all the BS he's saying right now. He said that the Bears invested a lot of draft capital on the O-line last year. That's quite literally not true, okay? We invested a 5th round pick at the earliest on the offensive line on Braxton Jones, which actually turned out to be a pretty good pick. But after that, it was 6th and 7th round picks invested on the offensive line. And only Braxton Jones started the entire year. So what the hell are you talking about with that statement?
And they've got capable backs and a top tight end. And I think a good offensive coordinator. Yes, they could use other receivers. Nobody disputes that. But the numbers for Fields have not been great. If he struggles next year, you'll get nothing for him. Now you could probably get
well, obviously, but if
pick.
He struggles next year, he can be in position to
Carr
draft the guys he talked about, Caleb Williams,
and Jimmy goes
Drake
to
May.
Tampa.
Okay,
you
worst
think
case
Arthur
scenario,
Blank,
you can get one
owner
of those
the
guys.
Falcons, wants to sit there and be awful again? I don't think so. Not like I know Arthur Blank well, but I don't think so. I think it's something you absolutely have to consider. This organization wasn't winning with Roquan Smith. It wasn't winning with Khalil Mack.
What does that have to do with anything?
Wins. What's Will Anderson going to do? Good player. He'd be a great
We didn't have a good offense back then, Colin. I mean, these guys, those players were contributing to winning on the defensive side, but we did not have a good offense back then. That's a totally separate point than the one you're trying to make in this video. Like,
piece for a young, if Kansas City could get him at the end of the first round, it'd be great for them. They don't have a lot of big needs. They have Chris Jones inside and Frank Clark. But to build around, let's just be a good player in an offensive league.
Talked about Kansas City drafting Will Anderson at the end of the first round. Is that what I heard? I don't even know at this point, but
sport.
That's enough, Colin Cowherd. Let's move on to the next video, which is Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe on Undisputed. All right, they're talking about his dome comment, I think, which he made on Barstool, pardon my take, which got spun way out of context by the media in the past few days, but let's see what they have to say.
It's about how he dislikes playing in the Chicago weather. Fields says, quote, I feel way slower in that cold weather, so it's tough. You, of course, want to try and stay warm on the sideline.
Yeah, every quarterback does. It's
weather.
not only Justin Fields.
Get a dome. I don't care if we're at Soldier Field, Arlington Heights. I hope we get a dome. Whew. Selfishly, I agree with Justin Fields, but man, Skip, do you like or have a problem with his comments?
Shannon Sharpe, I got a big problem this.
I knew you would. Of course you do.
For Justin's sake. I covered the Bears in Chicago in the late 90s at the Chicago Tribune, but more important, I covered in the middle of the 80s, the 85 Bears run to the Super Bowl through the New York Football Giants, and the Los Angeles Rams of one Eric Dickerson at Soldier Field. The greatest home field advantage in this league when they have good teams is home cold advantage, not in Green Bay, but in Chicago, because Chicago's weather is worse than Green Bay's to me.
What advantage have we had in the past 20 years by having cold weather outside? None. Literally zero. Okay, if you look at our home success, home success in the regular season and the playoffs too, it's way worse than any other team out there in the NFL. Okay, Bear weather is such a myth that's not been around since the time that Skip Bayless is talking about. Okay, since the 80s and the 90s. Well, we didn't win that many games in the 90s, but, early 2000s, yeah, sure. And yeah, back then, it used to be an advantage because you used to be able to run the football, play good defense, and win championships that way. But that's just simply not the case anymore, okay? You need a capable passing game, and you have the most talented quarterback in Bears history in Justin Fields, okay? A very talented thrower of the football. At least we saw that in college football. And why not give him a dome to accentuate those abilities as a passer, okay? Bear weather is not anything that exists anymore in today's world.
And I've experienced both because of the wind. It gets freezing cold and it gets ridiculously windy coming off that lake. It's
it's not
home
fun.
cold advantage.
Yes.
There is
Part
no
of the
advantage
Bears'
in that.
mystique.
If you don't have a
It's
good football
part of
team.
the fabric of the franchise is we will beat you in our weather. You have to come play in our weather.
Right.
And Justin's saying, I can't take this weather because
He
I don't
never
like
said
it.
I can't take it. He said he prefers a dome. He was asked the question if he wants a dome in Chicago in the new stadium wherever we get it, and he said yes, like any sane person would. Okay, why are you twisting his words into saying that he can't play in the cold? He never said that, Skip.
I can't throw in the cold.
Again, he never said he can't throw in the cold, but go on, old man, go
No,
on.
Justin, that's who your franchise has been, and you have to embrace
Has
it.
been
as
is the
part
key
of
word there.
What makes you the Chicago
Only
Bears.
got one
You
Super
don't
Bowl to
wanna
show
go
for that.
inside.
Yeah. Even if that's the case, you never say that out loud.
He was on a podcast, Shannon. Like, what is he supposed to do? Is he supposed to lie on a podcast? Like, this is why athletes do not like talking to the media. They cannot be truthful and upfront with anything because then the media twists their words into something that they clearly did not mean to say, okay? So, that's just so stupid, man.
That is true. You can't say it out
The
loud.
advantage that you have, Skip, is the weather. When you put a dome, you level the
It's
playing field. The
not-
one thing I want about home
the-
field, Skip,
the-
I don't want
the
to
playing
level the
field
playing
has never been-
I want to have somewhat of an unfair
We've never
advantage,
had an
even if
advantage
it's just
there.
Mentally. Even if it's not physically, it's mentally, it's cold.
Because they have to play in it too,
Yes.
but they don't regularly play in it. They have to try to figure out how to play in it just for that one Sunday.
Exactly.
The only game this has been true in my lifetime, okay, maybe not in my lifetime, but like in the last, like, I don't know, 5 or 6 years, like seeing Bears weather win us a game was that game against the Rams back in 2018 when we had that fearsome defense. But even then, you know, that defense might have made Jared Goff crumble even in Los Angeles. Okay, that's how good that defense was. So I'm not even sure that the weather was the only reason for that win.
Not only do you play in it, you practiced in it. We practiced in the cold in Denver. When it was snow, I used to ask, I said, why the hell do we have a dome? Why we got
The
a
game
bubble?
has changed,
We don't ever go
Shannon.
in it. No matter
You
how
pass the
cold
ball
it
a
is,
lot
we
more
shoot
than
it.
you used to, and passing the
We
ball
not
is
going
not
in it.
fun
So Mike said,
when
guess
it's
what?
negative
Let the
20
people go
outside
do
and
their thing.
snowing.
Okay. So, as much as I admire what Justin Fields did, mostly with his legs last year,
Yeah.
he's a good thrower, but he's not a great thrower of
No.
the football, not yet.
Yeah, he need to go talk to
Tom House, I agree.
hey, call Jalen Hurts.
Check it out. This is why, this is a smaller reason why I am such a Bryce Young fan that if I ran,
Nothing against Bryce Young, okay? I think that Bryce Young is actually going to be potentially a very good quarterback in the league. But if you're saying that Justin Fields cannot handle the cold, you want to put 5'6", okay, he's not 5'6", but 5'10", 5'11", whatever he is, okay? 170-pound Bryce Young, okay? One of the smallest quarterback prospects of all time, if not the smallest. You want to put him in the Chicago cold, okay? A California boy that played in Bama. You think he's going to be good with the cold, but Justin Fields is not. Like, makes no sense whatsoever.
in the Bears right now, I would have a really hard time passing up Bryce Young and letting him go to Indianapolis.
Well, hell, Skip, Justin Fields basically just said trade me. Because guess what?
No, he did not. Where did he say he wants a trade? He said he wants a dome. At the end of that interview with Barstool, he also said he wants to be a Bear for life. Like, did you guys not listen to a single word of that interview? You're like taking quotes online and running with it. That's not what you should be doing, Shannon.
The weather ain't gonna brighten up. It's not like all of a sudden it's about to be Miami.
And you said you wouldn't wish the Bears' offensive line on Bryce Young, or maybe even that wind and cold on Bryce Young. But Bryce Young is special.
Oh, no question.
Bryce Young is a much better
He is
thrower
special,
of the football
but
as we speak than Justin Fields.
Justin
is.
Fields also was
So,
special
to me,
in college as a
you
thrower.
risk
You're forgetting
a
already after 2 years with the
nightmare
worst supporting
if you
cast
let
ever.
Bryce Young go somewhere else and light it up. You could have had him. You got the first overall pick.
Yeah, Skip,
But to
Yeah,
do
and if we
so-
trade Justin Fields and he lights it up somewhere else, I am going to jump off a bridge.
you would have to move Justin Fields.
Yes, you have Skip. I just don't know how. Skip, the man said this out loud.
He did.
The weather's not going to change in Chicago.
I got it.
And then to have a guy
If we
and
build
it's
a
in his
dome,
mind, Skip, he believes
gonna
that
change.
he's slower in the cold
That's
weather.
the worst
He believes that he doesn't play as well in the cold weather as he do the warm weather.
Nobody does, Shannon. Nobody plays better in the cold. Maybe a few freaks out there, but even like a Tom Brady probably does not enjoy playing in the cold. He does it because he has to.
I mean, the Meadowlands, it's not easy, but the Giants quarterback figured a way. It's not easy to throw in Foxborough, but Tom Brady figured out a way. And when that's your home, you find ways.
Yeah, they keep on repeating the same points now. So let's move on to the next video, the last one, because this video is getting pretty long. But I think Mike Tannenbaum, the former Jets GM, if I recall, he also wants to trade Justin Fields, obviously because he was a former failed GM. And let's listen to what he has to say. All right, so we got Todd McShay first.
When McShay was on Get Up earlier this week, listen to this.
I think he's a smaller version of Patrick Mahomes.
Smaller version of Patrick Mahomes. One of the best quarterbacks of all time already, Patrick Mahomes, who, by the way, was nothing similar coming out of college to Bryce Young. Okay, Patrick Mahomes actually had a crazy arm, which Bryce Young also is very accurate, but he doesn't have a crazy arm like Patrick Mahomes does. Mahomes, I would say, was actually more mechanically flawed than Bryce Young was coming out of college. So the two are nowhere close to the same coming out of college. Maybe he's trying to say that, he's going to be Mahomes when he gets to the NFL, but still, what are we doing here? Okay, that's just such a lofty comparison to put on a guy that's not even the consensus #1 overall quarterback in this class.
The presence he has in the pocket, the ability to feel pressure coming, the ability
He's
to
good.
make, to
I won't
see the
deny
whole
that. He's
field
really
and
good in
make
the
all
pocket.
throws
But
with
so was
really
Justin
good touch
Fields
and
in
timing.
college only
He's
2 years
different than all
ago.
these other guys. Personally, I would take Bryce Young if I was Chicago. I would do it because I would want Bryce Young because I think he's an upgrade over Justin Fields, and I want his rookie contract so I have 5 years. But I don't think they're going to wind up making...
Okay, yeah, you get 2 extra years with that rookie contract, but guys, you can franchise tag Fields too at the very worst. Okay, so you have the 5th-year option and the franchise tag available, okay, if you still cannot come to terms on a long-term extension. So we're not going to be hurting for cap space by, staying with Justin Fields and potentially, not having the rookie contract down the road. Okay, that's not going to be the difference between us winning a Super Bowl or not.
Making that decision.
Mike T, I feel like I've heard this idea somewhere before from someone that looks a little like you. What do you think?
I think Todd McShay is really smart. I completely agree for a lot of the reasons Todd mentioned. And I would just take it a step further. You have a massive amount of cap space to go out and sign a bunch of good free agents.
Yes,
the way
sign
Jacksonville
good free
did last year with guys like Evan Ingram and Brandon Scherf. And you should get at least a first-round pick, maybe more for Justin Fields. So you get a great...
So he thinks Justin Fields is not good enough to be with the Bears, but he thinks a different franchise is going to trade a first-round pick and potentially more for that quarterback that he thinks is not that good. Make it make sense.
Young quarterback and Bryce Young. You now reset that clock in terms of the quarterback rookie deal, and you should get at least a 1, maybe more for Justin Fields. So now there's a number of ways you can improve the team.
If he's as bad as you're saying.
That I believe has a chance to be really special in Bryce Young.
Interesting idea, Coach. What do you think?
I think you got to help him with some
Herm Edwards saved this discussion.
You got a guy, a big quarterback. Last time I checked, Chicago plays outside. It gets cold in November and December. This guy fits the mold of a quarterback that can play in Chicago. You need a big guy, not a little guy. Look, I like that quarterback that's coming out we're talking about. Yeah, that's tremendous. But in Chicago, different atmosphere, different conditions to play under.
Finally, a smart guy, okay? The only smart guy we've had on this entire video, okay? In the entire video reaction. But that'll basically do it, guys. I'm not going to do any more reactions right now because this video is getting kind of long. I've been talking a lot over these videos. But if you guys want more reactions in the future, let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, definitely leave it a like as well. But hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave your comments down below. As always, bear down.